The courtroom froze. Not because of the charges, not because of the cameras. But because the woman standing before Judge Caprio threw her diamond-studded sunglasses onto the bench and snapped. "Hurry up, old man. I have an oil empire to run. I don't sit around listening to peasants." Gasps shot through the room like lightning. A stunned silence followed, broken only by one trembling voice in the back whispering. "She didn't just say that, did she?" The bailiff stiffened. A young mother covered her child's ears. Even seasoned traffic officers shifted uncomfortably. Judge Caprio slowly lifted his head. The warmth vanished from his eyes. This wasn't just disrespect. This was arrogance on a level the courtroom had never seen. And everyone felt it. Something unforgettable was about to happen. Fog rolled off the early morning Providence streets as the courthouse opened, soft rays of winter sunlight cutting across the wooden pews. The courtroom felt like a theater stage before the first actor stepped out, quiet but brimming with tension. Judge Frank Caprio entered with the calm authority of a man who had seen humanity at its best and worst. He adjusted his robe, tapped the bench lightly, and scanned the line of people waiting their turn. There was a gentle hum, the shuffling of feet, the echo of hushed conversations. Then the doors slammed open. She entered. Tall, sharp, wrapped in a black designer coat with oil company insignia stitched into the lapel. Her heels clicked against the marble like a metronome of arrogance. She didn't walk, she announced herself with every step. The gallery shifted. People whispered her name like a rumor. Victoria Holt. Oil executive. Multimillionaire. A woman known across the industry for swallowing competitors whole. Her jewelry sparkled brighter than the fluorescent lights overhead. Her smirk was tighter than her ponytail. She carried an air that said the courtroom was beneath her. She didn't look at the judge. She didn't look at the people waiting. She looked only at her watch. The atmosphere changed. The warmth drained from the room. This wasn't going to be a routine hearing. This was going to be a collision. Judge Caprio gently cleared his throat. "Good morning. Please step forward." She cut him off with a slicing voice sharp enough to scratch glass. "I'll make this quick. I'm only here because your officers don't understand what important people look like." The courtroom tensed. She flicked her hair, rolled her eyes, and continued. "I was late to a board meeting that involved millions of dollars. Naturally, I parked wherever I wanted. But apparently in this town, success is a crime." A wave of disbelief rippled through the gallery. Judge Caprio remained still, too still. She wasn't done. "Let's not waste time. Issue whatever petty fine you people give each other. $100. Maybe $2. I spend more on dog shampoo." A woman in the front row gasped. A veteran seated behind her clenched his hands. The bailiff subtly stepped closer, just in case. Victoria Holt tapped her nails on the desk. "So? Are we moving or what?" Every eye shifted to Judge Caprio, waiting. Wondering. Anticipating. How would he respond to the most entitled defendant ever to step into his courtroom? Before the judge spoke, he shifted his gaze to the second person in line. A soft, frail figure. An elderly man struggling to stand straight. His clothes were clean but worn, his hands trembling slightly as he gripped a thin folder. One corner of a military service patch peeked from under his jacket sleeve. Judge Caprio addressed him first. "Sir, would you like to sit?" The elderly man shook his head. "I'm all right, Judge. I'm just here for a parking ticket. I parked in a handicapped spot for 3 minutes. I know it was wrong. But my legs weren't holding up that day, and the walk from the far lot." He paused to catch his breath. "It's getting harder." Victoria scoffed loudly. "Is this what I'm waiting for? A sob story from someone looking for pity?" The old man flinched. Judge Caprio's expression hardened, barely, but enough for everyone to feel the temperature drop. The veteran lowered his head in embarrassment. "My wife passed last year," he whispered. "Every week I visit her grave. It takes a lot out of me. That's why I parked close. Only for a moment." The gallery softened with empathy. Victoria rolled her eyes. "Oh please. If you can walk in here, you can walk in a parking lot. Why do we keep bending rules for people who can't manage their own lives?" The room erupted with murmurs of anger. But Judge Caprio remained silent. Watching. Listening. Letting the arrogance stack itself like a tower ready to collapse. He finally leaned forward. His voice was quieter than usual, but somehow heavier. "Ms. Holt, do you believe your wealth makes you more important than the people in this room?" She shrugged. "Obviously. Otherwise I wouldn't be wasting my morning here." Caprio's eyes sharpened. "You threw your sunglasses on my bench. You insulted this gentleman. You insulted the court. And you speak as if the world owes you something." She laughed, actually laughed. "Judge, I run an oil corporation. I employ thousands. I move markets. I don't have time for the feelings of common people." Caprio's tone dropped to a father-like firmness that felt like a door closing. "Respect isn't about money. It's about character. And right now, Ms. Holt, you are bankrupt." Her smile faded. Caprio wasn't angry. He didn't need to be. His calmness struck harder than any shouting ever could. "It is not weakness to consider kindness," he continued. "It is not foolishness to recognize someone else's struggle. But it is a tragedy when a person becomes so consumed by their own success that they forget what being human means." The gallery grew silent again, this time out of reverence. Victoria's jaw tightened. But she still tried to look unfazed. The judge inhaled slowly, as if preparing for something deeper. And something was coming. A moment no one in the room was ready for. A figure stepped forward from the back. A woman in a navy business suit. Hair tied neatly. Face pale with seriousness. The courtroom whisper chain recognized her instantly. Elaine Porter. Former employee at Holt Petroleum. Whistleblower. Fired last year after exposing unethical practices. She lifted a hand, voice steady but emotional. "Your Honor, permission to speak." Victoria whipped around, stunned. Her confidence cracked. "What the, Elaine? Why are you here?" Judge Caprio nodded to the bailiff, who stepped aside. Elaine walked toward the front, holding a small envelope. "My presence is connected to Ms. Holt's actions," she said. "Not just today, but over the past year." Victoria's voice shook with anger. "You can't be serious. This woman is obsessed with me. She's angry because I fired her." Elaine ignored her. She handed the judge the envelope. Inside were photographs, timestamps, receipts, and surveillance stills. The gallery leaned in as Judge Caprio studied them. Elaine spoke softly, but her words hit like thunder. "Your Honor, the parking violation Ms. Holt received that day. She wasn't late to a business meeting. She was meeting with contractors to illegally intimidate a senior community that sits on land she wants to buy and demolish." Gasps flooded the courtroom. The veteran stared at her, stunned. Elaine continued. "She threatened people. Told them she'd make their lives miserable if they didn't sell. Many of them are elderly. Some veterans. Including." Her voice cracked. "Including my own father." The old man looked up in shock. "My father," Elaine whispered, "is the man standing right next to her in this courtroom." All eyes shifted to the veteran. Victoria's face drained of color. The twist hit the room with the force of a gavel. This wasn't just arrogance. This was cruelty. Calculated. Targeted. And now exposed. Victoria's facade shattered. The smirk vanished. The ego dissolved. Her breathing quickened. This is ridiculous," she stammered. "Those pictures don't prove anything." But her voice trembled too much to be convincing. She suddenly looked smaller, like a tower whose foundation had been pulled away. Judge Caprio didn't raise his voice. "Miss Holt, look at this man." Victoria hesitated. "Look at him." Her eyes lifted slowly, meeting the gaze of the veteran she had dismissed so casually. He wasn't angry. He wasn't cruel. He was simply disappointed. That expression hurt her more than rage ever could. Tears welled unexpectedly in her eyes. I didn't know," she whispered. The veteran responded quietly. "Folks like us don't need much. Just respect. A little understanding. We fought for this country so people could live decent lives. Even rich ones." Victoria swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry." The room held its breath. For the first time, she wasn't performing. She wasn't posturing. She wasn't defending. She was breaking. And rebuilding. All within seconds. Judge Caprio lifted his gavel but paused before delivering judgment. His tone carried the weight of the lesson she needed. "Miss Holt, arrogance blinds. Power corrupts when compassion is absent. And people who cannot respect others eventually lose the respect of the world." He leaned forward. "Your sentence will have 3 parts." The gallery leaned closer. "First, legal consequence. You will pay the maximum fine for your violation. And the court will forward the evidence provided today to the city attorney for review of potential misconduct related to your land dealings." A shockwave hit her expression. "Second, moral consequence. You will write a formal apology to this veteran and to every resident affected by your actions. Not a PR statement. A genuine apology, handwritten." Her throat tightened. "Third, community consequence. You will volunteer 3 weekends at the very senior center you attempted to intimidate. You will serve meals. Clean tables. Listen to their stories. And learn what real strength looks like." Gasps. Whispers. A ripple of awe. Victoria's voice wavered. 3 weekends, with them? Caprio nodded. Humility grows where pride is forced to kneel. Her tears finally fell. This wasn't humiliation. This was transformation. Sunlight bathed the renovated senior center. Fresh paint. Brighter windows. New garden benches. A small plaque read, "Donated by Holt Petroleum, in honor of our community's elders." 6 months had passed. Victoria Holt walked through the courtyard, not in heels or designer coats, but in simple clothing, holding a tray of lemonade. She greeted residents by name. Smiled genuinely. Listened without impatience. The veteran, Elaine's father, sat by the garden, watching her approach. She handed him a cup. "I know I apologized before," she said softly, "but I needed to thank you too. You helped me see what my world was missing." He smiled, old but warm. "People change. Takes courage to admit when you're wrong." Elaine joined them, and the 3 shared a quiet moment of understanding, something that seemed impossible half a year ago. Victoria looked around at the seniors laughing, talking, relaxing in the sun. "I used to think power was control," she said. "Now I think power is service." The veteran patted her hand gently. "And that," he murmured, "is the kind of strength that lasts." The camera would fade out here in the documentary version. But the story didn't end. It grew. Victoria funded a mobility ramp. She sponsored transportation for elderly veterans. She hired locals instead of contractors. She rebuilt trust, piece by piece. Her empire didn't shrink. It became human. Justice isn't about punishment. It's about awakening. Sometimes the hardest lessons don't come from losing money or facing a fine. They come from facing ourselves. Respect costs nothing. Compassion generates value no corporation can measure. And humility has the power to turn even the coldest hearts into something capable of healing others. No matter who you are. No matter what you have. Treat every person with dignity. Because the moment you think someone is beneath you is the moment you fall.